Hi John, how
Hey,
are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Excellent.
Do you have an early musical memory from when you were still living in the United States?
Yeah, I have a few. I remember playing air guitar on a broom in my driveway. I remember my brother coming home from a party and turning on, what was it? I think it was Black Sabbath or AC/DC and doing push-ups and headbutting the ground at the same time. I recall lots of Elton John and Billy Joel and Fleetwood Mac from my mom. Yeah, there's some.
What was your impression of this kind of music, what your brother listened to, the AC/DC, Black Sabbath?
I mean, anything that my brother did was cool. You know, he was 6 years older than me, so it was just cool. That was just the start of the hair metal thing and all that. So it was all a little bit over the top and a little bit, to be honest, I think whenever I heard any new wave music, like Tears for Fears or anything like that, I was a bit more into that.
Okay. And then when did you, because you mentioned the air guitar as well, when did you start playing yourself?
I started, I guess I really started playing when I was 16.
Okay. And was that when you got your first guitar?
I got given my first guitar really early on, around 13, but I kept on breaking my arm. I broke my arm once skateboarding, another time off a trampoline. I just mucked around, but then around 16 I really got into it. I really enjoyed it. And then then it was just a hobby until I was 21. When I was 21, I discovered open tuning and got pretty obsessed.
Do you know why the switch came when you were 16? Why it all of a sudden became interesting to you?
It was more when I was 21. 16
Okay.
was just a lot of fun.
Just fooling around.
But it was the open tuning that really, at 21, that really I just got really obsessed, and I thought I wanted to maybe do it for a living at that point.
So then you knew, when then did you know that you were actually quite good at it? Was it around the same time?
I knew I had a voice. I knew I had my own kind of unique voice around 20, 21. That's when I started realizing that, I could maybe go busking and attract an audience.
And was this from reactions from people around you, or just something you felt yourself?
Something that I felt myself mainly. And then when I went out busking, I got the reactions. Yeah.
Can you describe not how it felt, because that might be too difficult, but where it came from, maybe?
Well, I think I felt free. I felt free on the guitar.
So there's never been a thought of doing anything else after that?
Well, I mean, at that time that I found my voice, I was still going to art college to become an art teacher.
Okay.
And get my art degree. And after that first year and discovering open tuning and getting totally addicted, I quit university, and then I haven't thought of anything else really since then.
Okay. Well, I believe the first guitar that you played was given to you by your grandmother, if I'm correct.
It was actually the second guitar.
Was it your second?
My grandmother passed away about almost 2 years ago now, and I guess music for me is a way to document how I feel about the world and how I feel in this world, and it's a way to kind of help express how about being alive. And it kind of just seemed fitting that the song would eventually come where I could process my feelings about my grandmother passing and how much she gave me, and how big of a person she was in my family. She was the magnetic center to all of us. So yeah, at some stage that song was going to come, I guess.
Because obviously then she was quite instrumental in you getting into music.
Well, yeah, not so much getting into music, because I was already into music before I got the guitar. I was already kind of playing a little bit. I played for about a year, and I was wanting to learn Led Zeppelin and all this other stuff. But what I found out is when she handed me this guitar, this slide guitar, I didn't play it for about a couple of years. I didn't play it for like 5 years. I didn't know how to play it. It was enormously out of tune because of the bow on the neck. And it was a slide guitar, and I wasn't playing slide guitar. I wasn't interested in slide guitar. And it was only when I was 21 and I discovered open tuning that all of a sudden slide made perfect sense. And I started watching this great guitarist named Jeff Lang, who was an awesome slide guitarist. And all of a sudden I was interested in slide. And then I pulled this guitar out and I put a big bridge on it so I could play it on my lap. And all of a sudden that guitar made perfect sense to me. And that's when I realized how big that guitar was. That guitar knew what I was going to do way before I ever did.
So it almost discovered you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the album then, because I believe for the first time when you started working on the album, you started with a clean slate. You didn't take songs that you had already written. And
I did both.
Oh, you
yeah. So I for the first time I ever just like went into the studio with the band and co-wrote. Mm-hmm. And we wrote 2 songs that made it to the album, Devil Woman and Blame It On Me. Okay. And then we did what I normally do, is bring my own songs as well.
All right.
But we never actually just had, we spent a week just with none of my songs and just seeing what we could create as a band, and that was really fun and exciting.
Well, because this being the first time you taking the group in as such, did you discover something about your own songwriting or about writing with other people?
Yeah, for sure. Nikki was in the band and those 2 songs were written with Nikki, and Byron. Nikki and Byron are fantastic musicians, and so is Grant. They have a lot of great songwriting ideas and production ideas and arranging ideas, and fantastic musicians. And I guess that was the main reason, was we had so much to offer, and what I was doing was fine. It was great. I'm writing songs and we're bringing them to life together, and that really works, and that's a really good thing. But we weren't tapping into this whole other kind of opportunity of seeing what else could happen if I didn't put my songs in there, and if people could add a little bit more. See what happens when you don't put a song in the mix and don't influence it. And that was great. That was awesome.
So only those 2 songs that came from that.
Yeah, there was a lot of songs actually, but those are the only 2 songs that actually got words and are fully arranged. There's a lot of great ideas that didn't make it to the album. But yeah.
Well, how I assume this is different for each song, but how generally do songs start? Do you start with a riff or a thing on the guitar? Do you start with lyrics?
The ones that we co-wrote? Yeah, it really just started off with somebody playing a riff or a drum beat or a bass line, and I went from there. I think Blame It On Me kind of started bass, drums, guitar. I kind of went in that direction really quickly. Just went, yeah, so we were just really shooting from the hip. Yeah.
Because you've described this album as well as your approach to it as Magpie, just collecting elements from everywhere in terms of the songwriting.
Especially the lyrics, mm-hmm. Experiences and stories.
Well, was this a big departure for you in terms of the earlier albums?
Not a big departure, no. I've always written from third person, but I just did a lot more of it on this album, like a lot more of it. Yeah, most of the songs are. There's only about three or four songs that aren't third person. Yeah.
And then these can be anything.
Yeah, it can be liberating. It's not contained by my experiences. They can be anybody's experiences. It can be several people's experience. So it makes for, opens it right up. You can make anything happen.
And is it then difficult to relate, or can you use your imagination to?
Sometimes I can relate more to it.
Okay.
Because it's hard to explain. It's like, because a lot of the songs of third person are about relationships and love, and
mm-hmm.
We all can relate to those things. And sometimes I'm able to explore feelings that I've had with friends, or feelings that I've had by myself as a child, or feelings I've had in school, or with other girlfriends, and then put them into this new relationship. But put all of them in, not just one experience, but I can put them all in, and then I can really experience a lot of emotion within one story.
But does it then make you reflect on your own relationship as well?
Sure.
All those elements?
Yeah, that's right. Through these other people, you can explore your own feelings, and that's sometimes you can explore them more because you're not hindered by reality.
Is there a song in particular on the record that gave you this feeling of being able to explore things you might not be able to do by yourself?
Yeah, Young and Wild was that way. Yeah, Bullet Girl.
Okay.
Yeah, well, those are two songs that really. Cold Wind.
Can you take one and maybe describe where you started with it?
Oh, yeah, sure. You know, Young and Wild is a song about two individuals who are together, who are completely addicted to heroin, and who go through a very intense time with each other, and then part ways and give up drugs, and then look back on life and go, wow, it was a really intense time of our lives. You know, like you literally died on the kitchen floor, and I resuscitated you, and now we don't talk to each other at all. And having had an experience with being an addict, not with heroin, but with marijuana, for example, you know, I've had friends that, you know, that's all we did. All we did is smoke. You know, and when you didn't smoke, then the friendship was kind of over in a lot of ways. And so, I kind of used a little bit of my experience with that, these intense times of just so tight, almost getting arrested, always trying to hook up, and you know, and then all of a sudden when the drugs are gone, there's like you don't see each other anymore. But yet you go still through intense moments, even though it seems shallow because it's all about drugs. There's all these experiences that you have. So I kind of put a little bit of that in there, but I changed the drug into heroin, and people died, and then got resuscitated, and it wasn't just friends, it was lovers.
Right,
you know,
right.
and it wasn't just selling my own equipment. It was ripping off people's stuff to get drugs. You know, so I just was able to magnify the experiences a lot more by stepping out of my own, using a little bit of my own, and other people's. You know, I mean, like I've been around addicts. I've seen addicts from a distance. I've been ripped off by addicts.
Right.
So like I have all these experiences, but then I can become that one person who's just like intensely that one idea.